Did you know that Laurent Mekies has achieved at Red Bull what Christian Horner considered impossible? His arrival not only changed the internal environment, but has also brought stability and victories back to the team. Before continuing, tell me in the comments, do you think Mekies is the true architect of this new era at Red Bull? Because what's happening within the team could change Formula One forever. Stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In this video, we'll analyze how Laurent Mekies' arrival at Red Bull Racing has completely transformed the team since July 2025. We'll see how his leadership style, technical vision, and direct relationship with the drivers have made such a difference that even Max Verstappen has changed his immediate future in Formula One. When Laurent Mekies arrived at Red Bull Racing in July 2025, he did so at a time when the team seemed to be at a historic crossroads. The sudden departure of Christian Horner, after years of ironclad, high-profile leadership, left a void that many considered impossible to fill. The atmosphere at Milton Keynes was one of uncertainty. The engineers were divided, the technical processes seemed to have lost direction, and most worryingly, a rift was evident in the relationship between the team and its star, Max Verstappen. The international press spoke of a weakened Red Bull, while rivals were convinced that the team's hegemony had come to an end. At the same time, the season's car, the RB21, was far from the dominant single-seater that Red Bull had displayed in previous years. The inconsistencies were evident. On some circuits it was competitive, but on others it clearly fell behind McLaren. Friday practice sessions had become a constant headache, with engineers working against the clock to find an operating window that would give the car stability. This dynamic of improvisation not only affected performance but also the team's morale, which was beginning to doubt its ability to stay at the top. Furthermore, internal tensions intensified with Verstappen's uncertain future. 4 months, the Dutch driver had been linked to Mercedes, and each race without a clear result fueled speculation about a possible exit. The mere thought of losing its champion and competitive engine was a nightmare for Red Bull, which saw the foundation of its project falter. Sponsors, the media, and Formula One itself were beginning to question whether the team's glorious cycle was reaching its limit. Laurent Mekies took over with a different profile than his predecessor. He wasn't a man of media controversy or grandiloquent declarations, but a methodical engineer, accustomed to processes, detail, and quiet work. With a more pragmatic and collaborative style, Mekies had to face the mission that many considered impossible, rebuilding the team's confidence, regaining competitive stability, and convincing Verstappen that the future could still be written in Milton Keynes. One of the first clear signs of Laurent Mekies' influence at Red Bull was on the technical side. Under his leadership, the team began to move away from its over-reliance on simulation data and instead gave much greater importance to driver feedback. This change may seem small at first glance, but it represents a quiet revolution in the way a team that, in recent years, had relied blindly on mathematical models and simulator algorithms worked. Mekies understood that the talent of a driver like Max Verstappen couldn't be reduced to simple graphs and figures, and that his ability to feel the car on the track had to become a central resource in decision-making. The best example of this philosophy came during the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Verstappen insisted on testing a rear wing configuration that many engineers considered too risky. In the previous era, the team would likely have discarded that idea, prioritizing the stability shown in the simulations. However, Mekies decided to trust his driver's intuition and delegated the task of finding alternative solutions to balance the car to the technical team. The result was a crushing victory, with a lead of more than 19 seconds over Lando Norris. The changes didn't end there, just on the track. Mekies also restructured the way Red Bull prepared before each Grand Prix weekend. During the Horner era, it was common for the team to arrive on Fridays with a basic setup, spending long nights adjusting to try to find the right balance. This wear and tear became routine, but also a burden. With Mekies' arrival, the previous processes became more systematic and detailed. The team began traveling to each circuit with the RB21 much closer to the ideal operating window, which reduced improvisation and allowed the engineers to focus on fine-tuning rather than urgent fixes. This transformation brought a sense of order and preparation that the team had lost in recent months. Another strategic shift was the way Mekies managed the car updates. Unlike the philosophy of radical and sometimes reactive changes that characterized previous eras, the Frenchman opted for progressive, carefully analyzed modifications. The introduction of the new floor at Monza is a clear example. Far from being an isolated update, it was the result of a collective effort that sought to maximize performance in specific low downforce conditions. Finally, beyond the immediate results, Mekies managed to change the mindset of the team members themselves. Engineers, mechanics, and strategists began to feel that their contributions were valued differently and that the new leadership was based on listening, analyzing, and deciding based on technical consensus. The on-track results were a reflection of this cultural shift, consecutive victories, stable processes, and a new strategic vision that returned Red Bull to the path of competitiveness. The arrival of Laurent Mekies represented a turning point in the relationship between Red Bull and Max Verstappen. His direct style, based on listening to the driver and making his feelings the core of technical decisions, made Verstappen feel more involved than ever in the car's evolution. For a champion who values trust and transparency, this new approach was decisive in reinforcing his commitment to the team. The impact of this relationship was quickly reflected on the track. Verstappen began to show renewed confidence in the car, achieving consecutive victories at key circuits such as Monza and Baku. These performances were not only a demonstration of individual talent, but also proof that the new collaborative philosophy was yielding tangible results. Mekies publicly acknowledged his driver's level of commitment, describing him as an untouchable competitor capable of elevating the car's performance beyond expectations. This recognition not only strengthened the relationship between the two, but also sent a powerful message to the rest of the paddock. Red Bull had regained its absolute leader and was ready to fight again. The effect of this new relationship between Verstappen and Mekies also had repercussions within the team itself. The engineers found in the driver a more willing interlocutor to participate in technical discussions, knowing that their contributions would be supported by management. The atmosphere was no longer marked by tension and fear of making mistakes, but transformed into one where collaboration became the norm. In this context, Verstappen ceased to be just the star driver and became a strategic partner of management, further reinforcing his role as a leader on and off the track. Mekies not only restored the car's competitiveness, but also rebuilt the relationship with its most important driver, ensuring that the Red Bull project continues to revolve around the Dutchman's talent and determination. The turnaround Red Bull has made under Laurent Mekies' leadership has not only had immediate effects on race results, but has also opened up a range of medium and long-term consequences that could redefine the team's direction in Formula One. The first and most obvious is the consolidation of a project that seemed on the verge of collapse. Horner's departure had raised doubts about the solidity of the structure, but Mekies has demonstrated that more technical, pragmatic, and collaborative leadership can restore stability and confidence even in the most difficult moments. This stability is essential because it allows the team to focus resources on car development and strategic plans for 2026, without the distraction of rumors or internal crises. The transformation also has an impact on the dynamics of the championship. By regaining competitiveness against McLaren and remaining in the fight for partial wins, Red Bull introduces a new element of pressure into the title battle. While it may not be enough to reverse McLaren's dominance this season, the simple fact that Verstappen is winning races again changes the narrative and keeps the rivalry alive. This not only has sporting value, but also media value. Every Red Bull victory in this context is perceived as a statement of survival and resilience that raises the stakes at the top of the table. In the long term, the most significant change may lie in how Red Bull approaches the 2026 era. With its own engine under development alongside Ford, the team needed a stable environment and a clear working philosophy to face one of the most complex challenges in its history. Mekies' management, based on method, trust, and the use of human talent, provides the necessary foundation for this project to have a greater chance of success. In the short term, Red Bull's main challenge under Laurent Mekies will be to maximize the performance of a car that, despite showing signs of recovery, still faces significant technical limitations. The RB21 has not been a dominant car, and its weaknesses are especially evident on high downforce circuits, where McLaren maintains a considerable advantage. Another decisive aspect in the near future will be the management of the second seat. Yuki Tsunoda, despite having shown flashes of competitiveness, still raises questions about his consistency in a top-level team. Mekies has shown confidence in him, but the pressure to find a more solid partner for Verstappen continues to grow, especially after the emergence of young talents like Isaac Hadjar. In the upcoming races, it will be key to assess whether Tsunoda can consolidate his position or whether Red Bull will be forced to make a more drastic decision that could upset the team's internal balance. How this uncertainty is resolved will have a direct impact on the team's cohesion in the coming months. In conclusion, what Laurent Mekies has achieved in such a short time at Red Bull represents a quiet but enormously impactful transformation. The team went from a period of uncertainty, marked by the departure of Christian Horner and the threat of losing Max Verstappen, to a much more stable, competitive environment with a clear direction for the future. Mekies' ability to restore confidence in the team, reinforce the world champion's commitment, and at the same time, lay the foundations for a long-term project is a demonstration of leadership that few expected at this critical moment for the team. The truth is that, with Mekies at the helm, Red Bull has found a new balance between the technical and the human, between methodical discipline and the creative freedom of the drivers. This combination has allowed the team to win races again, Verstappen to reaffirm himself as the centerpiece of the project, and the organization to look toward 2026 with a solid plan. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you think Laurent Mekies will have Red Bull capable of returning to dominance in the 2026 era, or that McLaren will continue to dominate at the top of the grid? Leave your answer in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.